What's going on, guys? It's me, Airliner Fan HC here, and today we have an aviation memorabilia item to take a look at for you guys. I'm super excited to get into this video as we got something really cool right here. So, not the usual, I'll say, memorabilia item I would get, but I think this honestly looks really cool. So, what you're seeing on your screen right now is a custom diorama panel from Brad Meyers. So, I'll go into like the detail about these panels and like the background information about Brad Meyers and all of his like diorama panels. So without being said, let's get started right now actually. So Brad Meyers, I've seen him doing these Airliners International collectible shows. He was there last year in Kansas City, and he was also there this year doing Airliners International 2025. And his main thing, like what he does, is he makes these these diorama panels of like runways, taxiways, gate aprons, ramps, and they are really cool, almost like in that realistic level in a way. So he handcrafted these and they made them look as realistic as what it is in real life. Like I saw when I was browsing at his table, I would see some runways from San Diego, Kansas City, Atlanta, some various like US airports, including some international airports too, like Paris Charles de Gaulle. I think London Heathrow is included there too. And overall, he does like a fantastic work on these. And he not just only does this for 1/4 scale models, but he also does it for 1/200 and 1/500 scale models as well. So that's really cool on how he's making these to get some variety. And I think the price ranges depending on like the size of it. So if it was small, then that would have been like a lesser price, but if it was like medium or large, then that would have been a higher price. So here it is. This is what I got. So I originally was going to be getting one from Airliners International 2024, but when I saw Connor's video about like these diorama panels, I thought, maybe I might get them at Airliners International 2025. And when I was at Atlanta, like just a month ago as of this recording, it's currently July, like late July, last month, I did saw their table and I ended up getting one. So here it is. This is the one I got. I got this from day 3 of the collectible show, and this is his business card right there. So custom diorama panels from Brad Meyers, and you can see his phone number and email right there. And then at the back you can see a barcode that shows his Venmo link. So yeah, right there. So if you want to like purchase something from him, then you can scan that. So it can go to his Venmo page. So yeah, but let's take a look at this. So what you're seeing here is basically, I did not get a runway or like a taxiway. I do want to try to start off something simple and get like the airport ramp. So this is the airport ramp right here. So looking very nice, and yeah, first impressions, I was like, man, this looks really impressive. I love the various details right there. So it's from a wooden base, and as I go into the back, it says parking stands H3 or Hotel 3 and Hotel 4, 1/400 or 1/500 scale, pairs with G1 and G2. So this came with a pair. I did not get the other pair since I want to start off simple and get one, but he also has pair 3 and pair 4. So maybe if I ever see Brad Meyers again in another airliner show or other collectible show, then I would make sure to get the second pair. So as you can see, so this is like the rundown of like this diorama panel. So as you can see, he ended up making like squares, like just little bits of squares right there, so he can like make the outlines to it, kind of like know the measurements. And then he also, well, once after that, he ended up painting like this part to have like the ground look exactly what it is on the ramp. And as you can see, after that, he added in some details from like the roadways to like the markers to like all the like the red areas, how would I word this? Like, how can I word this? Like, because I know I've been on the ramp a couple of times. I forgot the name of this. I think this is like the area where the aircraft parks, and this one in particular has a narrow body aircraft and a wide body aircraft. So these can be for like narrow bodies and wide bodies. So this would be the wide body apron, and this would be the narrow body apron. And one thing I do like about his diorama panels is he actually added some kind of like, I'm guessing this is like charcoal, like he added like charcoal on some parts of the ramp right here to actually get that airport ramp feel, because like, you know, like there's a lot of like dark spots that maybe came from planes, like oils leaking on the aircraft or some other things. So the fact that he added this into like the panel makes this panel, like this diorama panel, look more realistic, to be honest. Like this looks exactly what it almost looks exactly what it is on the airport ramp. So that's one thing I do like about that. And I think in addition, this part right here, he actually did not like painting it. He did not like, you know, painted it like add some tape, painted that, painted and all that stuff. This actually, I can feel something, and this is literally like there's some kind of like material that he also added in to make this roadway. So this is really cool. And yeah, just like I could feel it, and it's not exactly flat. There's like some bumps from these, like, you know, like these additional details right there. So like the gate numbers and all that stuff. So this is actually really cool, and it's really cool to have a diorama panel out of this, so that way I can make something with like a, let's say an airport operation, for instance, or an aircraft taking off. That is if I get a taxiway or a runway. But I would love to get a runway at some point in the future. I did ask Brad Meyers about him making a Sacramento International Airport runway, like for instance runway 17 left or 35 left. He doesn't really do much West Coast, since he mainly does like East Coast airports. But he did some West Coast airports, like he did San Diego, he did Los Angeles. I do wish I can see him do a Sacramento runway in the future, but I will have to shoot him a message about that to see what he can do, and if he happily agrees with me, then he can make that, and probably he can ship it to my house. But yeah, this is really cool, and yeah, really nice details right there. So let me show it to you guys again. So this is the narrow body gate. This is Hotel 4. So as I look into here, you can see the line that leads all the way to all the markers on where the aircraft parks, and then over here is the barrier on the barrier on where the aircraft is. So basically it's kind of like the safe zone of the aircraft, I'll say. That's one thing. I think that's how I would depict it. Like this whole red barrier, this is more of like the safe zone from the aircraft. So like airport ram vehicles would stop here, and then they would approach slowly into the aircraft to avoid hitting it. And that same goes for Hotel 3, which is the wide body gate. Except one thing they added is they added some kind of like a hazard zone, or like a no drive zone on this particular area, because like this right here is like something you don't want to place basically. And then there's another side over here. Not all wide body jet bridges has this, but I thought that's some good attention, like nice detail that's also included. And not to mention that there's also some kind of like wear on like the roadway to kind of like get that realistic look on how some roadways at the airport have some wear in it, like cracks. So I do love the fact that he also added that too. But other than that, this is a really cool to have in my collection. Again, this is not something I was expecting to purchase, but after seeing some videos on YouTube, I decided why not. So really cool stuff right here from Brad Meyers right there. And hopefully in the future I can try getting one of the runways or taxiways. But yeah, that's just the overall rundown. I think I did explain it really good. I don't know if I missed any details, but overall I think I included every detail from this diorama panel. But I do want to bring back his business card right there. So here's his business card once again. And yeah, really cool to have this from Brad Meyers. Now in the next clip, I'll show you guys on what it'll look like if I would like place some model planes in it, to kind of get that feel on like what it will look like if I get a model plane in this diorama panel. So yeah, and of course I do want to add some like ground service vehicles, because since it's literally an apron. But I'm gonna do that in the next video clip. So with that being said, let's move on to the next video clip and show you an example of that. And this is what the diorama panel looks like when I add some models. For this demonstration, I'm using a United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 and a United Airlines Boeing 787-9. And as you can see, this diorama panel, when I added models and the GSC equipment, it does look like a realistic airport operation, I gotta say. So looks really cool, and yes, I ended up making all this. So not really the diorama panel, but setting it up, I made all that, which I think I'm overall impressed on just the look of it. So as we start off here at the narrow body gate, or just the narrow body ramp area, you have this United Airlines 73 MAX 9, And as you can see all the belt loaders over there. That's their position. So there's a belt loader over there, and then there's a belt loader over there. You got some ramp workers that are about to load the bags onto the plane. You got the tugs towing all these bag trailers, and then there's a fuel truck that's about to load the fuel onto the wings of the plane. And you can see some cones right there. There's an air stairs, there's a pushback tug, there's a GPU, and over there is the catering truck right there. And let me just stand up for this to show you guys the 789, or like point out some details on the 789. So here is the 787-9. You can see a pushback tug right there, some more ramp workers. You can see some cones that are positioned right there. And then there's a GPU, there's air stairs, there's a catering truck that's about to lift this up onto like the doorway. There's a can loader, or on my work they also call it the ULD loader or K loader. And then you can also see one of the cans. That's where most of the bags are. They would usually use these cans and this kind of equipment for the wide body aircraft. And then on the starboard section, if I could try like move around, at the back area of the plane you can see some more cans. These are like the smaller cans, or the bag cans, and then there's another can loader right there, and then there's a lab truck that's currently servicing the labs on this aircraft, and more ramp workers. And over there is like all the various like aspects of airport operation. So, but what I do like about these, like this diorama panel, is the contrast between the aircraft and like the gray on the ramp itself, or like the base basically. So as you can see, I think just by looking at it, just by looking at the model, I think there's a lot more contrast in the color, and honestly it does look really nice. And yeah, I think the main reason, again, like this is kind of meant to be like a realistic diorama panel of an airport, like an airport ramp or runway. And seeing like all the various, like just how like the color makes a contrast onto like the livery itself, I think that looks very nice, I gotta say. And let me see if I can pan over to the 737 MAX 9 real quick. So here is the 737 MAX 9. So as you can see, again, like it has some kind of like unique, I think it's some kind of like unique color blend. I think it's more on the gray, which I think that actually looks really nice. And yeah, you can see like just how like the gray is like has like really in-depth contrast onto like the model itself when I add this to a diorama panel. So that honestly looks really cool right there. And of course, for the roadways, I do have some vans right there. There's some buses. There's a tug pulling into baggage carts. There's a lab truck. There's a pushback tug, and then there's a follow me van right there. And of course, here is the custom diorama panels from Brad Meyers, as I showed you guys on the previous clip. So overall, this honestly looks really cool. Really glad to have this for my aviation memorabilia collection, and first time having a diorama panel of like a certain part of an airport. So it's really cool to have this, and maybe I might use this for model reviews in the future, which I think that can be a huge benefit on how I do these model reviews, because I do want to get some nice contrast into like just like the overall aircraft itself from like the various aspects of it. So really cool to have this. And yeah, and if you want to like shoot him an email on what runway you want to like which part of the airport you want to request. So basically I make some requests on like airport runways, taxiways, and airplanes, then shoot him an email or a phone number at this phone number right here. If I could just like point it over there. So there's his phone number, and then there's his email right there, rockwood@jeffnet.com. I think that's how, yeah, jeffnet.com. So overall, great work, Brad Meyers, on this absolutely amazing details right there, and I'm really glad to have one of your panels for my aviation memorabilia collection. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell icon so you won't miss a new upload from me anytime soon. And don't forget to stay tuned to all the other aviation memorabilia I did. And I think I should create a playlist of like, I think the playlist is called My Aviation Memorabilia Collection. So I think that's like a new series I started already. So looking forward to uploading more videos on that series coming soon. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Good night.